Hey everyone, it's Ashley with Restore the Delta. Today I'm here with Spencer Fern, Restore the Delta's Science Program Manager. We recently shared a report about how water flow impacts harmful algal blooms, HABs, in the Sacramento-San Joaquin Bay Delta region, and how it could connect to the Delta Conveyance Project. Spencer, can you go ahead and tell us a little bit about what you do here at Restore the Delta?
Yeah, so you kind of mentioned it off the top that I'm the Science Program Manager here, but I generally during the summer time frame will hire on a couple of interns that are climate water advocates that will go out and test for harmful algal blooms, grabbing water samples throughout the Delta, and then we collect the data, make it publicly available on our website, which you can see, and then also provide the data to the State Water Board in collecting for harmful algal blooms. And as right now, my work is kind of data focused, which is kind of the highlight of the blog.
So what exactly are harmful algal blooms?
Yeah, great question. Good for context on the blog post. But harmful algal blooms are the cyanobacteria that will form along water surfaces throughout the Delta that essentially they will produce these toxins that'll come from dying off whenever they end up going through the summer. But they're usually characterized with these very bright green colors, and they generally smell like spilled gasoline.
Oh, wow.
So if you're out in the Delta and you're looking and you think you've seen a bloom, sometimes you can tell by just smelling it.
So Spencer, what can you go ahead and tell us about how water management in California will affect harmful algal blooms?
Yeah, so the way water is managed in California, and with the speculations of the way water might be managed in California with the Delta Conveyance Project, water is often removed from the system, whether that's through reservoir storage, whether that's through diversions, and whether that might be through the Delta Conveyance Project removing water and taking that down south to Southern California. The problem with removing water from the system is it can impact water quality south of the exports, south of the reservoir storage, south of it, or downstream, I should say, where when you have this water removed from the system, the Delta might experience poor water quality, which in my example here will impact harmful algal blooms, but it impacts general water quality. It impacts the way fisheries recover from the fact that fresh cold water is coming down through the Delta. And when you've got this impact on the amount of water that goes through the system, which is one of the few things we can control when it comes to mitigating harmful algal blooms, you would probably see an increase in harmful algal bloom activity throughout the Delta. We've seen it during the drought periods where when you've got a lack of flow, just in general, you see a lot of harmful algal blooms throughout the Delta. And we haven't seen that the past 2 years because we've had a lot of water from the wet years that we've been experiencing. So with the way water is currently managed and the way that it might be, again, I'll reiterate with the Delta Conveyance Project, I have concerns, and Restore the Delta has concerns with the way that harmful algal blooms would be managed in those in this uncertain future.
And finally, what's the main takeaway that readers should have from reading your most recent blog post?
Yeah, so it's going to kind of tie into the previous answer I gave in the last question, but the highlight should be that we're looking at data from 2023 and 2024, oftentimes looking to kind of compare. And even though I picked out the sites that had blooms, overall the Delta did not have very many harmful algal bloom reports for the past few years. And the ones that did, specifically Discovery Bay, Big Break Shoreline that I want to highlight, were due to the fact of the way that those areas are currently set up. They have lack of flow throughout, and the circulation is poor through those areas, which is kind of signaling that there needs to be improvements on circulation there. But the areas that you would expect more blooms, i.e. Stockton or other parts of the Delta, Antioch, even along the Sacramento rivers, did not experience bloom activity this year and the previous year for the most part. And when you've got that, and with what the data that I'm presenting, you see that those areas with poor circulation, you see the reservoirs, they tend to have the most bloom activity. And those are areas that have very little flow, very little movement, water sitting still, or stagnant for another term. And that raises the concern that I also brought up with the Delta Conveyance Project, moving water through other reservoirs. If reservoirs are already currently experiencing the most bloom activity, what would that say about water supplies if water is being moved to Southern California, where it would sit and create another bloom, and water scarcity is still an issue? And I think that's the main takeaway from the blog post is maintaining flows, managing the water we currently have is the key to making sure that we have a resource for the long.
And finally, So thanks so much, Spencer, for breaking that down for us. If you'd like to learn more about harmful algal blooms and how they're impacting the Delta, go ahead and check out our latest blog posts and report at restorethedelta.org. Don't forget to follow us on social media for more updates.